We met sophomore year in Raleigh. She was loud about ideas, bright about feelings, and fearless in a room. I was quiet about plans, steady with numbers, and allergic to debt. Somehow the sparks found balance. I liked the way she challenged everything. She liked that I kept things standing. We dated through finals, moved to Charlotte after graduation, and built a life that looked sensible on paper. I climbed the ladder in finance, trading sleep for promotions, picking up extra projects no one wanted. She explored paths that felt alive to her. Event work, a shot at social media consulting, and eventually a wellness blog that promised purpose if not income. 2 years after the wedding, the twins arrived, Noah and Ava. I thought the noise would break us. It didn't. It clarified what mattered. Bottles at 3 a.m., laundry piles that never blinked, calendars that lied about free time. We split jobs the way we could. I handled mornings because I was already up. She said nights made more sense for her flow. It wasn't perfect. It was a rhythm. While my hours stretched to 55, sometimes 65 a week, I kept us pointed forward. I learned the art of the quick breakfast, the fast check-in with teachers, and the last-minute glue fix for a science project. She went to meetups, panels, and circles that filled her notebook with thoughts. Her blog spoke to growth, boundaries, and the cost of pretending. I read every post. Some sentences stung, but I told myself growth can sound sharp. I didn't think about who was counting. I thought about keeping the train on the tracks. I'd race home, drop the tie, step into homework, snacks, and baths. Then I'd check a spreadsheet with the microwave clock glaring at me. A good father, in my mind, was useful. Useful meant present. Useful meant calm when the day wasn't. I noticed small shifts before I understood them. Fewer midday texts. Fewer laughing selfies dropped into our chat. The quick kiss at the door turned into a distracted pat on my shoulder. She said she was evolving and needed space to expand. I said okay because I believed space returns if you treat it gently. Charlotte gave us seasons that felt honest. Hot summers, clean winters, and long dusks when the kids learned to ride scooters on the sidewalk. I measured my life in their wins. Her life kept stretching toward new rooms, new friends, and new language about becoming. Sometimes I sat in the stands at school events and wondered if I should be more interesting. Then Noah waved, and the thought went quiet. I didn't chase proof. I built proof. Lunchboxes ready. Projects turned in. Bills paid on time. The invisible work that keeps a roof quiet. If I felt a distance, I turned it into a to-do list. If she felt unheard, I offered the softest answers I had left after 11 hours. The Tuesday that changed us did not feel special. I logged an 11-hour day, hit the gym for 20 quick minutes, and still got home in time to check Ava's spelling list and retape Noah's volcano. Bedtime was a victory lap. 2 stories, lights dim, doors cracked. Downstairs, the house had that heavy evening hush. I thought we might watch something mindless and fall asleep on the same couch like old times. She was at the sink, rinsing one plate the way you rinse thought. I walked in with the easy smile I kept for home. What happened next did not arrive with thunder. It landed like a memo. Flat voice, clean edge, no tremor to warn me. She said I wasn't her match anymore. She said the only role that truly fit me in her life now was as a co-parent. I didn't drop the glass in my hand. I didn't beg the room to rewind. The words just pulled the air out and left the shape of me standing. For a second I heard the dryer click, the fridge hum, and the clock count. I heard how ordinary the night wanted to be. I looked at her back and felt a decade fold into a narrow line. I thought about the mornings, the lunches, the conferences, and how silence had been creeping into the house like fog. The sentence made the fog solid. I didn't answer right away. I didn't have a speech. I had a feeling that something had finally told the truth, even if it hurt both of us to hear it. And in that quiet, a new part of me started to stand up. The plate kept rinsing. The clock kept counting. I realized tomorrow would ask me who I was now. I woke before the alarm, the way I always do. The house felt colder, like someone had opened a window inside the marriage. I didn't reach for a speech. I reached for the skillet. Eggs, toast, fruit cups. Lunches sealed. Backpacks checked. Useful beats loud every time. When Lila came down in her robe, steam curled from her mug like a question mark. I did not feed it. I kept my answers short and clean, the kind you can stack like coins. The twins asked about picture day. I fixed collars and braided hair. She tried a careful tone about the conversation. I let the room carry it away. Silence isn't revenge. It's a boundary you can hear. On the drive to school, Noah asked why I was quiet. I said I was thinking about work. True enough. I was thinking about everything as work. Tasks, time blocks, results. If the new role was co-parent, then I would play it like a pro, reliable, calm, impossible to guilt into side quests. At my desk, I did not send the midday check-in text. I closed 2 reports, booked a client call, and took a walk at lunch instead of doom scrolling through advice threads. 10 push-ups against a wall led to 20. On the way back, I scheduled a haircut and tossed the sag of shirts that made me look tired even when I wasn't. Small hinges swing heavy doors. By late afternoon, I felt the strange power of not arguing with reality. I was still the same man who packed lunches and paid bills. I had simply turned off the part of me that begged to be seen. Begging never worked anyway. Results did. Evening returned with its usual checklist. Spelling with Ava. Volcano paint with Noah. Dishes stacked like white bricks. I kept the tone light for them and neutral for her. She mentioned a women's circle later. I nodded without a smile or a frown. A nod can be a sentence when you mean it. When she left, the house went quiet in a useful way. I made tea, sat at the dining table, and opened my laptop. A blank document glowed like a door in a dark hall. I typed 2 words. Exit plan. No drama. No monologue. Just a starter list any project manager would respect. Find an attorney for a consultation. Begin a daily log. School events, emails with teachers, doctor visits, pickups and drop-offs. Organize finances, review bonuses and timelines. Keep everything legal and transparent. Health routine, lunch workouts, sleep before midnight, cut sugar. Social spine, 2 lunches with old friends this month. House systems, calendars, labeled bins, a corner for school papers so nothing gets lost. I saved the file to a private folder and mirrored the list onto the kitchen whiteboard as bland, how's admin? Nobody argues with a chore that has boxes to check. The trick wasn't hiding. The trick was refusing to narrate my motives. Narration invites debate. Systems ignore it. Around 9, Lila came home glowing with secondhand certainty. She floated a question about how my day went. Productive, I said, then turned back to Ava's permission slip. She lingered, then drifted to the living room. The TV filled the silence with other people's problems. I took a slow lap through the house. Backpacks by the door. Shoes paired. Sink empty. Tomorrow's snacks staged. This is what control looks like when you don't announce it. It looks boring. It feels like oxygen. Before bed, I printed the weekly school calendar and set a thin pin next to it. The line between present and performing is thinner than most people think. I chose present. I turned off the light and lay on the guest bed by choice, not exile. Choosing matters. Some sentences don't need to be said twice. She had named my role. I accepted it without ceremony. A truth can bruise and still be useful. In the morning, the list would start getting check marks. And soon, that first line on the plan, call an attorney, would turn from text into time on a calendar. The next business day, I treated call an attorney like any other meeting. No dread, no speeches. I searched quietly, chose a firm with strong family work, and dialed in the hallway where the copier hum covers nerves. Consultation, please, I said. Clean voice. No story. A slot opened for Thursday at 8:30 a.m. I put it on the calendar and felt the ground tilt back toward level. That afternoon, I opened a Fresh Notes app and a plain spreadsheet. Title, Parenting Log. Columns, date, time, event, who showed, who emailed, next step. I started backfilling from memory and screenshots. Picture day forms, science night, the nurse call when Ava spiked a fever, the teacher's thread where I answered within 7 minutes because that's what a working parent does between meetings. Every box got a line. Lines add weight. Email became a filing cabinet instead of a guilt machine. I created folders, school, health, activities, finance, legal. I set rules so messages from Noah or Ava's teachers never drowned under newsletters. I exported the last 6 months into PDFs and labeled them in a way any stranger could follow. If a process isn't simple, it won't survive stress. I built mine like a ramp. At lunch, I walked instead of scrolling, then hit a small gym a block away. 30 minutes. Machines I couldn't overthink. The goal wasn't to look different for anyone. The goal was to feel like a person who keeps promises to himself. I booked 3 sessions a week and told no one. Announcements are heavy. Habits are quiet. Money next. I mapped accounts, bonuses, and timelines. I didn't hide a cent. I moved legal, disclosed funds into my own name where they belonged, and set up clean paper trails. I exported statements and clipped confirmations. A balance sheet doesn't love you back, but it will swear the truth in court. For recent awards, I redirected 72% into a savings plan with a long fuse. Not secret, just separate, adult, and documented. Thursday arrived. The attorney's office smelled like paper and lemon oil. She listened more than she spoke. When she did speak, it sounded like cut rope. Start a log, she said after I explained the house rhythms. Keep it neutral. Dates, times, outcomes. Save teacher emails. Note who attends appointments. Don't editorialize. Judges like receipts, not speeches. I already had the spreadsheet. She smiled without showing teeth. Good. Keep going. We walked through custody standards, the math of schedules, and the difference between involved and present. She warned me not to threaten, not to perform, and not to manufacture conflict. You're already doing the job, she said. Document that you're doing the job. I paid the consultation fee, shook her hand, and stepped into daylight that felt like a verdict I could live with. Back home, I added a physical folder to the top drawer, cheap, tan, forgettable. For now, it held a printout of the log and a few labeled emails. One day it would grow teeth. For now, it was just a place to put the truth where I could touch it. I tightened home systems the way you tune a bike. Small turns, big difference. Backpacks staged the night before. A rolling list of pantry basics on the fridge. A shallow tray by the door for permission slips and picture forms so nothing could go missing. The kids adapted in 2 days because children understand patterns faster than adults accept them. Lila noticed something, but not enough to name it. She commented on the haircut, the shirts that actually fit, the way dinner hit the table on time. I kept my answers light. Not cold, light. Trying a new routine, I said, and passed Ava the green marker for tomorrow's calendar. I didn't argue with posts about growth or boundaries. I tracked dentist times and parent nights. I copied the school nurse on vaccine records. I set reminders for field trip fees. When a teacher emailed both of us at 3:12 p.m., I replied at 3:18 with the form attached and the date confirmed. The log ate the proof, line by line, until the page felt heavier in my hands. You can lose a debate and still win the record. I wasn't chasing approval anymore. I was building a witness who would never forget. By week 2, the house had a new weather. Not cold, not cruel, just clear. I kept conversations short and practical. School forms, dinner times, pickup windows. Polite, complete, and closed. She tried to reopen old lanes with soft questions about feelings. I let them pass like trains I didn't need to board. The twins felt steady under the new rhythm. We posted the weekly plan on the fridge with color dots. Green for school, blue for sports, yellow for anything with money attached. Noah liked checking boxes. Ava liked adding stars. I liked that we all knew where Tuesday lived. Small changes drew attention. I didn't ask about Lila's meetups or panels. I didn't summarize my day beyond busy, productive. I didn't sit on the couch waiting for a show to agree on. After homework, I moved to the office, answered 2 emails, and prepped tomorrow's lunches. Silence did not punish. It prioritized. Texts changed too. If she messaged during a Saturday, I didn't jump. I finished the errand, finished the game, or finished the joke with the kids, then answered with a single line. Out with Noah and Ava. Back later. No defenses, no itinerary. Clarity is kinder than performance. The first Saturday out hit harder than I expected. We did simple things, scooter races, a library stop, messy burgers at a place with paper napkins that never quit. We laughed with ketchup on our sleeves. I sent 1 photo to the family chat, 2 straws, 1 milkshake, and put the phone away. On the drive home, I felt the seat loosen under me, like the car knew I was finally driving my own route. She was on the couch when we returned, scrolling like it paid rent. Her face tried casual, her voice tried warm. She asked where we went and how long we'd been gone. I handed Noah the grocery bag and kept my tone flat. Out. Back now. She mentioned that a mother should be informed. I nodded once and sent the twins to wash up. The calendar on the fridge was in plain sight. Information wasn't the gap. Little invitations started to appear. A question about whether I wanted anything from the store. A comment about a new series that we might like. A compliment about the haircut that came a beat late. I took each one as data and left it where I found it. You can be decent without being available. I kept my lane. Be strong for the kids, be brief with her, be exact on paper. I logged every teacher thread, every appointment, every pickup that beat the clock. I also logged when she bowed out for a circle or a workshop, not with spite, just with dates and times. A calendar can testify without raising its voice. At dinner, I talked with the twins about their week. Ava's art project became a small museum tour. Noah's practice morphed into a plan for better shoes. Lila tried to join with a story from a panel about boundaries. I smiled at the kids and passed the salad. Not hostile, not hooked, just not hers. Sunday night, I set clothes for Monday, printed the field trip form, and staged backpacks by the door. Lila lingered near the hallway, fishing for the old debrief we used to do before bed. I kept moving. The guest room door clicked, soft as a page turn. This was not revenge. This was alignment. She had renamed my role. I stopped arguing with the label and started playing it well. People notice when the energy that chased them starts orbiting something steadier. By the end of the week, she wasn't mad. She was restless. That's different. Anger asks for a fight. Restlessness asks for leverage. I gave neither. I gave schedules, meals, and a level head the kids could stand on. And somewhere in the quiet, I felt the next gear waiting. I didn't need to push it. I just needed to keep logging the truth until the truth had weight. By week 3, effort came back to the house. Not mine, hers. It started small, like a light tapping on a locked door. A compliment on the shirts that finally fit. A question about a show we used to watch. A soft touch on my sleeve that waited for eye contact and didn't get it. I didn't punish. I didn't perform. I kept the rhythm that made the kids feel taller. Breakfast on time. Backpack set. Practice picked up. Homework checked. Forms signed. The parenting log filled cleanly. Dates, times, outcomes. If a teacher wrote both of us at 4:01, my reply landed at 4:07 with the attachment named properly. Logs don't flirt. They verify. My body kept changing because my habits did. Lunch gym. More water. Less sugar. Early sleep. A haircut every 3 weeks instead of when mirrors complained. I ordered 2 pairs of jeans that fit like a decision and retired the tired ones without ceremony. None of this was for Lila. It was for the man who had to stand inside my choices. Sundays turned into reset days with the twins. We did meal prep together and called it taste tests. Ava chose the fruit order. Noah portioned the pretzels like a scientist. I built a small basketball run on Saturdays with some guys from work. Sweating with strangers who didn't want my biography felt right. We talked in scores, not theories. It emptied the mind. The more my life found rails, the more Lila tried side doors. She cooked a favorite dinner on a Tuesday and waited for the old gratitude speech. I thanked her, meant it, and kept utensils moving toward the twins' plates. She bought a candle and called it a reset ritual. I said the house already smelled like clean counters, and that was working fine. She floated date night. I said the schedule was tight this month. No edge, just facts. When I mentioned to the kids that a winter trip might include a ski lesson, her head snapped up. I've always wanted to learn, she said, smile wide. I nodded and kept talking to Noah about boots. Invitations are not obligations. I didn't audition for approval anymore. I checked fit, schedule, cost, and whether the twins would glow. Text shifted tone. Where are you? Turned into what time do you think you'll be home? I answered both the same way. Out with Noah and Ava. Back later. She wrote longer. I wrote clearer. Silence stayed a boundary you could measure. At night she tried proximity. Sitting closer on the couch. Wearing things that once worked. I kept my posture the same whether she was 20 inches away or 2 rooms over. People read posture faster than words. Mine said, present, calm, unavailable. The exit plan grew teeth. I added a second tab to the log for attendance deltas, a bland name for who showed up where. I printed the latest messages from teachers who naturally copied me first and slid them into the tan folder in the drawer. I set reminders for dentist appointments and brought a small notebook for after-visit summaries, dosage, follow-ups, next date. None of this looked dramatic. It looked competent. Lila's language changed from certain to careful. Less talk about evolving beyond and more about reconnecting, rebuilding, and finding our spark. I kept my answers polite and short. Thanks for cooking. I've got pickup. Meeting at 9, bedtime after. You can be humane without being hooked. One night she put a plate in front of me, touched my shoulder, and said I looked really good lately. I said, thanks, handed Noah the ketchup, and asked Ava about her art project. Lila left the touch there, waiting for meaning. I let it fall off like lint. Meanwhile, the twins kept thriving on clarity. Fewer surprises. More boxes checked. We were a small team that knew our jobs and cheered in the kitchen when homework came back stamped great effort. Their eyes followed routine the way sun follows a window. The gap between attention and attachment got obvious. She wanted the feeling of the old chase without the work that kept the home upright. I wanted the home upright. That difference is not romantic. It's structural. By the end of the week, she tried one last lever. I can take the kids Saturday. You should have me time. I thanked her and gave her the practice schedule, the snack list, and the permission slip that needed a signature. If she wanted to be involved, here was involvement. Paper doesn't blush. Effort had returned. Interest hadn't. Mine was aimed at the kids, the calendar, and the man I had to live with after they fell asleep. Hers was aimed at the version of me that used to beg. That version was gone. And then, when the house was quiet, I heard a phone call that ended the guessing. It was a plain Wednesday night with dishes drying and backpacks staged. The twins were asleep, the hall was dim, and I was heading to the office to print tomorrow's field trip form. Lila's voice stopped me at the corner. Low, careful, phone pressed tight. I didn't mean to listen. I also didn't move. Silence teaches you which sentences matter. These did. She says, he's completely different, a friend must have said, because Lila answered fast, a whisper edged with panic. Yes. He flipped a switch. No yelling. No begging. He's just gone. A pause. I apologized. I said I was frustrated and didn't mean it. He's not buying it. Another pause. No, I don't want a divorce. I wanted him to pay more attention. I watched the night, put that on record in my head. Not anger. Not clarity. Leverage. The sentence from the kitchen, co-parent, not a match, had been a tool, not a truth. Tools can hurt people when you pretend they are truth. She kept going. If he leaves, I don't know what I'll do. Then softer. I thought saying it would wake him up. The hallway felt colder than the tile. The wall clock clicked like a metronome for a song I didn't want anymore. I stepped back before the floor could creak and gave the moment a room to finish. In the office, I stared at the printer until the page came out warm. The feeling that stood up in me that first night didn't waver. It grew posture. This wasn't about punishment. It was about accuracy. She had shown me the model. I had built to spec. I opened exit plan and added 3 lines. Print log weekly. Keep copies in the tan binder and cloud. Keep replies brief. Keep records long. Confirm recording laws. Never provoke, never threaten, never trap. Then I went back through the log and tightened labels. Parent night, 6 to 7:30, attended by Mark. Dentist follow-up, forms signed by Mark. Soccer practice rescheduled, coach notified by Mark. Each line read like a heartbeat that finally learned its job. On the last page, I wrote a date for a second consultation and underlined it twice. In the mirror, I looked like a man who had slept 8 hours for the first time in years. I hadn't. Resolve can fake sleep for a while. The next morning, I didn't mention the call. I didn't need to. I handed out breakfast, checked signatures, and walked the twins to the car through a blue sky that did not care about our house. At work, I closed a tricky account and set calendar holds for school events through spring. Lunch was a sandwich and a short run. Afterward, I bought a portable scanner because paper misplaces itself when emotions start moving furniture. At home, the tone stayed even. Lila tried a new lane, nostalgia. A story from the Raleigh years. A song from the first apartment. A joke about the couch we hauled up 3 flights of stairs. I smiled like you smile at a relative's photo album. Kind. Distant. Done. Later, while the twins colored at the table, I updated the binder. Emails in order. Appointments clipped behind them. The parenting log printed and hole-punched, week by week, like a simple book anyone could read. If you have to show a stranger your life, make it easy to understand. That's not drama. That's design. The house, since the shift. It's strange, but rooms know when a decision lands. They get quieter. You misplace fewer pens. You stop bumping your shoulder on the pantry door. You stop asking for permission to be organized. Phones will say anything to the person on the other end. Calendars don't. For months I'd felt crazy trying to prove the shape of my days. Now the shape proved itself. I didn't run victory laps. I took the trash out. When bedtime came, Noah asked if I could stay a minute. I did. He didn't have a question. He just wanted quiet with me in it. Ava asked if her art project looked grown-up. I said it looked brave. They slept fast. I stood at the guest room door with the light off and thought about Mercy. Mercy, I decided, was not letting a bad pattern drag on because the ending would be uncomfortable. Mercy was clean paperwork, stable routines, and a father who didn't wobble when the ground did. The call ended guessing. The plan ended drifting. What came next wouldn't be loud. It would be final. And when I finally put that binder on the table, I would not raise my voice. I wouldn't need to. We waited until the twins were asleep. The house made its small evening sounds. Dishwasher sigh, HVAC whisper, the tick that means bedtime stuck. I sat at the kitchen table with a tan binder and a calm I didn't have 3 months ago. Lila scrolled on her phone like the screen could change the room. This wasn't a performance. It was paperwork. I want a divorce, I said, steady and plain. Not loud, not cruel, just true. Silence spread across the table like water. She looked up as if the word were a joke that needed context. It didn't. I slid the binder toward her and let it stop by her hand. Inside, there wasn't drama. There was order. Up front sat a clean memo from my attorney outlining process and options. Behind it, parenting log printouts, dates, times, who showed up, what got signed, who emailed first, who replied with the attachment named correctly. After that, school threads, nurse notes, and appointment summaries. Then account statements with simple labels. Recent awards funneling 72% into a savings plan in my name, fully disclosed and lawful. No hiding, no games, just adult money where it belongs, with receipts that can talk. The last tab held a proposed schedule. Primary physical custody with liberal time for the other parent, plus a weekly dinner that stays sacred for the kids. The language was neutral on purpose. Judges don't reward adjectives. She didn't touch a page. Are you serious? She said, barely above a whisper. It's already serious, I answered. We just needed the same map. Her second line came fast, like she'd practiced it. Courts favor mothers. Courts favor involvement, I said. The calendar favors me. So do the teachers, the nurse, and every timestamp in that log. I kept my voice even. This isn't an attack. It's an accurate picture. She flipped a few pages and found the emails where staff copied me first. She found the field trip fees paid at 7:12 a.m. The dentist forms scanned the same day, the practice reschedules handled before lunch. Proof doesn't need adjectives either. She reached for another lever. I'll fight this. I'll get a lawyer. I'll say you planned this for months and hid money. I set my phone on the table and tapped the screen once. Where it's legal, I record important conversations, I said. Threatening false claims is unhelpful. Everything I've done is lawful. I consulted more than one attorney before I moved $1. If you hire counsel, good. Make sure they like documents. Her shoulders dropped. She looked smaller than the room. I don't want this, she said. I wanted us to work. You told me my role, I answered. I kept it. The kids will have stability. You'll have time with them. And you and I will have clarity. That's the part that was missing. She tried to find the old us in my face. I kept my posture on task. Regret belongs to yesterday. Custody belongs to a calendar. This is punishment, she said finally. No, I said. Punishment is chaos. This is design. The twins will feel it first. Steady mornings, steady handoffs, steady rules. They will know which house holds what and when. They will not carry our mess. The dishwasher clicked. The clock moved. She turned another page and landed on the line that summarized 2 years of invisible work. Present, consistent, documented. She swallowed like the word documented had edges. I stood, not angry, not triumphant. I'll email the proposal, I said. You can review with counsel. If you want to suggest reasonable changes that help the kids, I will listen. Her eyes were wet and unfocused. What if I change? What if we try again? I'm not revising yesterday, I said. I'm protecting tomorrow. I picked up the binder, closed it, and left it on the table as an object the room could not ignore. I turned off the kitchen light and let the plan own the dark. Next came the part where emotions look for shortcuts. Paper doesn't have any. The binder changed the air. Over the next few days, Lila cycled through every lever she knew. Tears first, then bargains, then warnings wrapped in soft words. I kept the same stance, kind to the person, loyal to the plan, steady for the kids. She tried performance. Perfect dinners. Playlists from our first apartment. A robe she wore when furniture still felt like an adventure. I thanked her for the meal, loaded the dishwasher, and read with Noah and Ava. Nostalgia is a warm blanket that doesn't stop the rain. Texts got longer on her side, shorter on mine. Let's talk tonight. We can talk after homework. I don't want this. I do want stability. I stopped narrating my intent. I showed it. Breakfasts on time. Pickups precise. Log printed each Sunday, hole punched into the tan binder like proof that breathes. Her friends circled. One called to ask if I'd done something, because Lila defended me for once. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done with debates that never changed the math. When push lost traction, leverage tried volume. I'll fight you, she said, low and shaky. I'll say you schemed this and hid money. The room didn't move. I kept my voice level. Everything is lawful and documented. Don't threaten false stories. It wasn't a clash. It was a boundary with a street sign and a light. Paperwork advanced. I booked a real estate consult, then a second one to confirm our numbers. Market looked good. I scheduled a Saturday walkthrough with an agent while the twins tested open houses like playgrounds. Lila wasn't on the invite. She found out when a business card hit the counter. You can't sell this house without me, she snapped. I set the folder down and opened the property record. 1 page, 2 lines that mattered. The deed sat in my name alone. Years ago, we agreed to add hers after the credit storm passed. It never did. Adult choices have adult shadows. I slid the page across. Paper didn't raise its voice. It simply stood there and told the truth. The argument drained out of the room. She collapsed into the couch and asked where she'd go. I didn't answer the part that wasn't mine. My job was the kids, the schedule, and keeping the process clean. I updated the listing checklist, booked photos, staged the garage, and taped a discreet note on the fuse box so inspectors would feel respected. Courtesy speeds results. At night, she tried the last door, the bed. She left the guest room open like a question. I chose my room on purpose and slept like a man with a plan instead of a story. The twins slept hard too. Routines had made them taller. Meanwhile, the log hit a stride that read like testimony. Parent night attendance, coach emails, dentist summaries, copies clipped, dates aligned. I numbered the pages because details win when memories fight. Little tells gave me confirmation I hadn't asked for. The phone face down less often. Fewer quotes about outgrowing people on her feed. More pauses before she spoke, like she was stepping around her own words. Regret isn't loud. It's the sound a fork makes when it touches an empty plate. The house went to market. We accepted an offer that respected the work we'd done under this roof. I booked movers for a date that didn't crush the twins' calendar. I toured a place closer to school with a yard that felt like a promise. 3 bedrooms, sunlight that arrives on time, an office with a door that says yes to quiet. In the background, counsel handled drafts and edges. Proposals went out and came back marked in neat red. I gave ground where it helped the kids and held the line where it protected them. Lila's messages softened. Can we slow down? I kept the pace humane but firm. Mercy is not delay. Mercy is clarity. By the end of the month, grief sat where anger used to live. She cooked less, listened more, and stopped saying the word match. I stopped listening for it. We became co-workers of a small company called Our Children. That company needed clean books and predictable hours. The binder stayed on the table for one reason. Paper with numbers and dates is a mirror you can't talk over. If you want different reflections, you change behavior, not glass. Next came rooms with flags and seals and clocks that don't care about feelings. Judges read calendars. Mine was ready. 2 years later, the roof still holds. The calendar is calm. The house knows what time dinner lands and which night cleats go by the door. I don't check my phone to feel needed. I check the stove because pasta water boils if you ask it right. Noah and Ava are 11 now. School fits them like a jersey that moves when they do. He boxes out under the rim with quiet focus. She paints bold and doesn't apologize for color. Their grades sit steady, their backpacks finally close, and their sleep looks like trust. We still run our Sunday taste tests. We still tape the week to the fridge. Boring is a compliment around here. I met Claire Monroe at one of Noah's doctor appointments. She was the pediatric nurse who made needles feel like math, unpleasant, quick, then done. We ran into each other again at a neighborhood fair and didn't talk about destiny. We talked about parking, snacks, and how kids spill at the worst angles. She's present, steady, and curious in a way that never feels like a quiz. She brings soup when the twins are sick and silence when I'm tired. She asks where help fits and then puts it there. I didn't hide my past. She didn't flinch. You built a safe house, she said once, looking at the chore chart. That matters. She knows I don't want a rescue. I want a partner who shows up at 7:03 a.m. with 2 shoes and the right size permission slip. Lila lives across town in a smaller apartment with thin walls and a view of a parking lot. The wellness blog went quiet, then gone. The brunch circle got small when the checks split different. She found a job, entry-level admin, and a schedule that finally understands morning. We keep exchanges civil. We keep texts short. We keep the kids first. Sometimes, on hard nights, she calls. Her voice is softer than it used to be. She says she made the biggest mistake of her life. She says she misses who we were. I listen just long enough to be humane, not long enough to be hooked. Then I repeat the line she gave me in a different season, the line that turned into a boundary I could live inside. We're just co-parents now. It ends the echo without throwing the phone. The twins notice more than we think. One night, Ava said that Mom is on her phone a lot over there. She said it like weather, not cruel, just reported. Then she bragged about our weekend plan and asked if the park counts as exercise if you laugh the whole time. I told her laughing is cardio if you do it right. The win wasn't the house sale, the binder, or even the moment a judge chose a schedule that matched our real life. The win is simpler. The win is 2 kids who know a parent shows up on time, listens with his eyes, and doesn't treat love like a performance review. The win is being the ground they run on, not the storm they dodge. If you're living in a home that shrinks when you walk in, hear this from a man who learned the long way. You are allowed to leave the stage and keep the work. You're allowed to stop begging to be valued and start building a life that values the people who count on you. You can be calm, competent, and clear. That combination is louder than any speech. Karma didn't roll in like thunder. It arrived like a ledger, quiet, balanced, exact. She once called me a co-parent. I became one, separately, steadily, and without apology. And when she finally asked for us again, I returned her line exactly where it belonged. We're just co-parents now. That's all we'll ever be.